Hey, how you guys doing? It's your boy Beasley back at it again with another episode in the Potential Prodigy series. This is the series where I give you an in-depth recruiting guide in what stats to look for to get as many generational elite dev and star dev prospects while the CPU and your other online league mates can go fight over the normal dev and impact dev prospects. If you're new, I'd appreciate a like and a subscribe, and let me know in the comments down below if you learn anything along the way throughout this video. But very quickly, before we hop into this banger, got some few things to shout out. If this video gets 1,000 likes for the like goal, I will go and update the cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is a section in the Discord where I basically upload my data points. That way, if you need a little review with anything I say or do in any of these VODs, you can go there for a quick little glance. Obviously, these videos are more in-depth, but you can go get a little summary on the Discord. The cheat sheet section in the Discord is directly under the online dynasty section. As you guys can see, it's constantly being updated. We got quarterbacks, running backs, I think D-line already up there, adding more stuff as time progresses, as the light goals gets reached, yada, yada, yada. Anyways, all the plugs and all that aside, let's hop right into the video. Also, Discord is free of charge, by the way. I get asked that question a lot. It's free. So there you go. Make an account, join, takes 30 seconds. It's all free. I'm not going to nickel and dime my audience like some content creators in this space. Anyways, back to the VOD. So if you guys are a big fan of this series, you guys know normally I start with a generational or a crazy prospect, and we kind of go in stat for stat on what makes them so good, why are they above average in certain metrics, why are they the way they are, basically, to try and explain and rationalize why that recruit is so good. For this video, we are going to do the opposite. We are going to start from the bottom and work our way to the top, because even though we're in a new year of 2026, I am still getting the same old haters on my content. So I'm going to go ahead and flash the comment on screen now. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this comment. As you guys can see, it's on screen right here. Basically, to quickly summarize said stupid comment, the gentleman basically told me, LOL, it's a 5-star, therefore they're going to always be good, which is just so funny because no, you are not guaranteed to be good as a 5-star, just like you're not guaranteed to be good as a 4-star. There are good 5-stars, there are bad 5-stars, there are good 4-stars, and there are obviously trash 4-stars. So the premise of 5-star equal good is stupid. I don't know who keeps, filling these people with funny comments and funny ideas in their brains. Because clearly they don't watch my content, otherwise they would know, just because 5-star doesn't mean diddly squat. Secondly, I think it's also funny that he capitalizes the B in the phrase no-brainer, which is just funny. You guys can go laugh at this comment, here you go. But this is the reason why we're starting with the bums at the beginning of this video and not the studs. Okay, so first we have on our screen is the absolute superstar that is the 5-star prospect Skylar Pratt with the whopping impressive normal dev. Let's do a quick stat rundown. That way you guys know what to look for and what not to look for these videos. Awareness can range from the low 60s to the low 70s. Run block can range from the low 70s to the low 80s. Run block power can range from the mid 60s to the mid 70s. Run block finesse can range from the low 80s to the high 80s. Pass block can range from the low 70s to the low 80s. Pass block power can range from the high 60s to the mid 70s. Pass block finesse can range again from low 80s to mid 80s. Impact block can range from the low 70s to the low 80s. Agility can range from the low 70s to the mid 70s. Acceleration can range from the low 80s to the mid 80s. And for 3 bonus stats for the beginning of this video that we won't cover later on, just because it's too much work, honestly, but I have them recorded for you guys. Strength for these guys, you don't get their attributes for strength, which is very odd. This can range from the mid 80s to the low 90s, which is interesting. Their speed, which you think they would show you considering they're the agile archetype, they're meant to be fast. That can range from the mid 60s to the mid 70s. And then lastly, you have lead block, which can range from the mid 70s to the mid 80s. So those are the numbers. If you want the exact data points, again, check out the Discord when this video reaches the like goal. But let's go down piece for piece real quick on why Skylar Pratt is absolute buns and why you should not just blindly recruit 5-stars just strictly because, oh, they're a 5-star. Skylar Pratt, 68 awareness. The highest I ever found was 70, whereas the lowest I ever found was 63. So Skylar Pratt, I will give him his flowers. He does have good awareness. However, as you will see very quickly, that is kind of the end of the good for him. So his run block is a 76. That is smack dab in the middle. The lowest I've ever found was 71. The highest I ever found was 81. That, again, smack dab in the middle. His run block power is of a 69. The lowest I ever found was a 65. The highest I ever found was a 76, which again would put him in the smack dab middle. Next, you have run block finesse, which is primarily supposed to be a very high stat for these guys. His is 81, and the lowest I ever found was 81, which ties him for the lowest metric possible, which is really, really, really bad. Lastly, to round out the left column of the screen, he has 76 pass block, which is also smack dab in the middle between not very good, not very bad. 72 on the low end and 83 on the high end, which is not good considering that every metric he has is pretty just meh. Next, we get to pass block power of a 71. The lowest I ever found was a 68, whereas the highest I ever found was a 75. Considering he is a few points away from minning out, that's a very bad sign. Speaking of minning out more stats, pass block finesse can range from 81 to 86, and his is obviously 81, which puts him at the lower percentile for that metric as well. After pass block finesse, we have impact blocking. His is a 71. The lowest I ever found was a 71. The highest I ever found was an 81. Again, lowest metric physically possible. Agility of a 71. The lowest I ever found was a 70, whereas the highest I ever found was a 75. So he's one tick away from minning out yet again another stat. And then lastly, to round off this portion of said video, acceleration can range from 80 to 86, and his is of an 80. So for almost every numerical category, this dude sucks, which is why I always give my warnings. I always tell people, don't just put blind faith. If a content creator or someone gives you bad information, I'm going to go ahead and tell you it's bad information, right? So no, just blindly going after 5 stars does not result in the person always being good. Just keep that in mind for yourself. So as you guys know, I am a man who does a lot of data, a lot of research. I show many examples. That way it's not just one thing that's pure fluke. I can show multiple. Here's another recruiting class in which I would never show you guys for a video just because the class is filled with nothing but normal and impact dev bums. But in the case, I have to re-educate some people to, yeah, not every class is going to be obviously a generational recruit. For the video, I primarily do that. I do my due diligence to make sure you guys don't have to sift through the awful classes to see what the good ones look like. But since I got to, reawaken some people's inner minds, here we go. For Secco over here, very quickly, we just covered a bad guy. I'm not going to spend too much time on this guy being bad. Long story short, he is awful run block power, run block finesse, pass block power, agility, acceleration, and pass block, if I didn't already mention that. So for almost every numerical stat, he is bottom percentile for everything, which to the surprise of nobody, this guy's a normal dev. I know another 5-star who sucks. I can assure you, it's just not an Agile thing. I could do this for every single potential Prodigy video. I just don't, to strictly make them, more entertaining and to keep things pushing. That way we're not wasting 5 to 10 minutes of the VOD showing you what crap looks like when I could just filter it out for your eyes. But either way, these were just 2 bums and I could have kept going, but I think you understand the point of not all 5 stars are going to be generational, just like not all 5 stars are going to be bums. So there you go. Now on to the actual good prospects. That way you guys know what actual studs look like. So up first, we have Moses Mayo, who I think I would be willing to label as the generational tag. I think I can say that pretty confidently, even before we run down his numbers. He is just insane. But as you guys know, it wouldn't be a potential Prodigy video if I didn't make the obligatory joke. As you can see next to Moses Mayo, who I'm 99% sure is a generational prospect, no green gem. Again, you can find players just off, or most of the time find players based off their stats. Not all generational players, elite devs or star devs, are going to have a gem, just like not all the bums are going to have a little bus sign. You have to do your job and to pay attention and to look for stats, which is what I'm here for, to show you what stats to look for. But with Moses Mayo, let's go ahead and quickly run down his stats so you can get the awful taste off your palate of what a NPC bum looks like to what an actual generational prospect looks like. So for starters with Mayo, 70 awareness, generational. Highest I ever recorded was 70. His is 70. Next, run block. His is a 77. The highest I ever found was 81. He's just 4 points away from that, which is not, that sounds bad, 4 points away, but considering the low end is 71, right? He's 6 points away from minning out. He's 4 points away from topping out. I kind of would say put him in the upper middle section, but still not too shabby by no means. Run block power of a 75 is 1 point away from tying the highest number I ever found of 76, which is insane. Run block finesse of an 89 ties the highest number I've ever found of an 89, which is awesome. Top percentile for run block power and run block finesse. Next, we have pass blocking of an 80, which, to put that in perspective, the lowest I ever found was, again, 72, and the highest was 83. So he's just a few points away from, again, topping out there. Next, we have pass block power of a 75, which ties him for the highest I've ever found recording data points for these guys. Pass block finesse of an 84, which just, again, puts him as 2 points away from, again, topping out as the best I've ever found. Impact blocking of a 79 is really, really good. Tell me if you've never heard this story before, but he is, in fact, 2 points away from, you guessed it, topping out of an 81 being the highest, so 79 is really, really, really good. Agility is the first stat that he doesn't do very well at 72. He's 2 points away from minning out. He could do a little better for the agility, but if it's the one stat I'm going to overlook, I think we can all agree overlooking one stat when he just slaughters every other metric is forgivable. And then lastly, 86 acceleration, which puts him as the highest acceleration of any person I've recorded, or tied with, I should say, with 86. So for every numerical metric but agility, this dude's a super stud. No green gem. He also has free abilities. 2 bronze and 1 platinum. Outside shield is a really good ability, so this guy would be a super stud. I would love him in my online dynasty. But that being said, here's just one example of a generational prospect, and now let me go ahead and hop into a second example. So then next we have Antoine Lusk, who's 1 letter away from having a really funny name. Quickly review his stats. He has upper percentile stats for awareness, run block power, run block finesse, pass block power, pass block finesse, impact block, agility, and acceleration. Literally every single number he has on your screen, he is either tied with the highest number I've ever recorded, or he's like 1 point or 2 points short. This guy slaughters it in every numerical metric, just like the previous gentleman, and just like the other previous gentleman. Top left corner, as you can see, no gem. So, as always, pay attention to their stats. You don't want to get one of the normal dev bums like that appeared earlier in this video. You want to get the elite and star dev generational guys. But you have to know what stats to look for, right? Obviously, in my opinion, you should look at all 8 stats, right? Again, in my opinion, I recommend when you're doing these deep dives to look at the entire picture for what it is. Don't get tunnel vision. Don't look at 1 or 2 metrics. Look at everything they have at their disposal. In my opinion, though, the 4 most important stats were to, if you were speed farming or just speed recruiting and you don't have time, let's say you're in an online dynasty, the week's about to advance and you need just a few key stats to look for, this is what I would recommend if you were in that situation. Again, don't advise that, but if you were, pass block finesse, run block finesse, impact blocking, and acceleration, I've noticed with those 4 metrics that the higher the stats are the recruit has, the better dev trait they were. I think out of 160 something guys I've documented, I think only 2 or 3 of them, and I can show you them very quickly, who didn't follow that metric and ended up being normal dev. Normally, traditionally speaking, if you do have very good pass block finesse, run block finesse, impact blocking, and acceleration, the odds of you possessing a dev trait is very, 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 very high. Very high. So, by and large, do I just advise doing 4? No. Obviously, I do recommend all 8, hence why I cover all 8 worth of stats. But if you just we're in a time crunch and you got to speed recruit, speed farm, just speed, those would be the 4 stats I would show. Okay, so here's an example. I finally found one after searching through probably 15 classes. I need to do a better job of documenting what classes do what exactly for my data. But if you stuck to my rule of basically, again, if you're not looking at the entire work of the picture and just looking at the 4 key attributes, 78 impact blocking, phenomenal, right? Very high. 83 acceleration is not bad, but also not good either. It's in that mid-range. 83 run block finesse, again, is not bad, but it's not very good either. And then 84 pass block finesse is, again, not very bad, not very good either. So if you were to strictly just look at these 4 key stats, you would be willing to think, oh, this guy's probably at least impact dev, maybe if I'm lucky star dev. But again, you got to cover everything. You have to look at every stat, every metric. So to quickly cover why he is normal dev, even though he does have decent stats in the attributes I've already listed, he is god-awful pass block power, agility, run block power, and pass block. So you can't have okay stats in a few key areas or good stats in a few key areas and then be outweighed by the sheer amount of bad. But again, typically, from my experience, if they have really good acceleration, impact blocking, pass block finesse, and run block finesse, most of the time they'll be at least impact dev. Now, obviously, the higher the stats are across every other stat, you're getting more toward the elite dev or star dev or generational dev, in my opinion, from what I have seen. Very quickly, this will be the last class I show for the video before I get to the what do they look like when they're on your team and or the ability section of this video. But I want to also let you know the spawn rate for these guys is significantly better than the raw strength linemen. The average class size from what I documented was 8, 8, 8, 11, 11, 8, 7, 10, 7, 5. So a vast majority of these classes, specifically for left and right tackle, agile, 4 and 5-star linemen, you're getting high single digits or low double digits, which is pretty cool considering the raw strength lineman would sometimes spawn 0. So any class where I can actually have people to make data points on, I appreciate EA. Another very quick thing I'm going to point out to you is this has to be one of the most overall impressive classes I have seen doing any of these VODs. As you guys can see, there is 11 people that fit this criteria. Out of the 11 people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 of the 11 are star dev. And of the 5, of the 5, 3 of them have a gem, 2 of them don't, which is really cool that if you were to recruit basically this entire tackle class and just move them to guard and center, you could basically have 5 star dev linemen, which is pretty sick. But it doesn't just end there. There's also, as you can see, there's also 2 impact dev prospects in this class. So between the 5 star dev and 2 impact dev, 7 of the 11 people in this class have a dev trait, which is pretty nice. Will your classes always look like this? No, but I'm just saying for, documenting, it's actually really cool that you can have these classes where you can get so many good linemen across the board, cough, cough, except for raw strength guys because they just don't spawn. And so if you were to just go crazy, like this class, for example, this gentleman, Muhammad Yabo, what are these names? Anyways, 80 impact block is obviously upper percentile. 81 acceleration is not that good. 70 agility is not that good. 75 pass block power is insane. 84 pass block finesse is pretty good. 84 run block finesse is insane. You can see the stats right there. 75 pass block is not bad, especially for a 4-star, right? This dude is insane. I'm actually surprised he's not elite dev, but hey, there's not that big of a gap between star and elite like there is between impact and star. So here's probably the last class of the video, and let's hop into the final portion. Okay, so for 2 very quick examples of what do they look like when they're already on your team, here is a 5-star elite dev. I know he's sat the bench last year. I've not touched a single token, as you guys can see, top right corner, 177 tokens. I do apologize. I prefer freshmen whenever I do this, but again, he's on my bench. I never upgrade him. Anyways, 81 overall, 5-star elite dev prospects. Let's go down his stats, shall we, very quickly to look at what he's good and bad at. So 81 pass block puts him pretty good, just a few points away from being the max there. His pass block finesse of an 86 is also tied for the highest I've ever found, and 73 pass block power is not bad considering he's 2 points away from, again, maxing out the highest I've ever found. Run block of an 82 puts him actually higher than the highest I've ever found of an 81, so I'm going to go ahead and update my notes for the Discord. But yeah, that is insanely high. Run block finesse of an 88 is 1 point away from, again, maxing out at an 89, so that's insane. And then run block power of a 73 is also insane because he's just 2 points away from maxing that out. So for every numerical metric, he's either tying or just barely not meeting the maxed out criteria. Next, we have strength. As I mentioned earlier on in the video, I think it's interesting that strength can range on these guys between the low 80s and the low 90s. He has 92 strength, which is tied for the best I've ever found myself, so it does fit trend there. He is 79 impact blocking, which again is just 2 points away from the best I've ever found. Very, very, very good. IQ of a 69. Nice. He is 1 point away from maxing that out. Next is lead blocking of an 81. He is 2 points away from maxing that category out. He is 73 agility, which puts him smack dab in the middle, along with 70 speed, which again is smack dab in the middle between 65 on the low end and 75 on the high end. 84 excel puts him in the upper percentile there because he's just 2 points away from maxing out. And so there you can kind of see from there what do they look like when they're on your team versus when they're on the scouting board, that the numbers kind of overlap. And honestly, I could show you another example of what they look like, but it's pretty much going to be the same thing. The good numbers they have on the scouting report are going to show up when they're on your team. Obviously, it does range. But let's go ahead and wrap this video up with these abilities. I'm going to quickly cover these abilities just because some people don't really enjoy this part of the VOD. But if you enjoy the ability recap, let me know in the comments down below. I greatly appreciate that. Along with if you do prefer these individual stylized content for each archetype, also let me know that down below. But Screen Protector, from my experience, just not worth running on most screens. If your linemen do get out in front of your running back, which is rare by itself, they're mostly blocking safeties and corners, in which they auto pancake anyways, making this ability very not necessary. And if you're playing an online dynasty where maybe you have a user D lineman or a user linebacker get in front of them, I guess in those circumstances it kind of helps. But generally, I don't call screens that much, and I don't think screens are good enough to be a reliable thing in most offenses. So for me, Screen Enforcer is a big don't waste points on. It's a big miss. But if you call screens and or get value from the perk, there you go. I just don't think it's very good. Next is Quick Step, improve movement on as a pull blocker. This, I think, if I understand correctly, they block better on things like counters, on tosses, and stuff of that nature, which aren't very good run plays, right? If you're doing the meta run plays in CFB 26, again, whether it's for an online or offline dynasty, you're talking halfback dive, inside zone, stretch. Very few tosses actually work, and almost no counters work. So this ability sounds cool, but like you're calling run plays that don't typically work, so I don't advise that. So just like Screen Enforcer, it's kind of in the not worth it. Next, Option Shield. If you don't call options like me, I don't ever call option plays in my offense. This ability literally will never work. If you're a very option-heavy person, this is probably a very good ability, but considering I don't ever call options, it's again going in the bin with Quick Step and Screen Enforcer. So if you're keeping track, they're 0-3 with abilities, which kind of sucks. Then you get to probably their best ability they have in their kit being Outside Shield, improve double team blocks on runs. You don't realize how often your linemen combo block until you have one of these abilities, whether you're combo blocking with your tackle and guard or you're combo blocking the tackle and tight end. It does happen a lot, especially on tosses and stretches, which I primarily call in my offense. So this ability is absolutely insane, very recommended, and also it's tied to their run block finesse, which is a stat they normally have very high anyways. So very easy, one ability, go ahead and get it. There you go. And then lastly, we have Quick Drop. Quick Drop is the exact opposite of Quick Jump. It's designed to counter that ability. Again, very situational ability. If your opponent is running a full D lineman of quick jumps, obviously this Quick Drop will greatly help you. But if you're playing the CPU who doesn't have any of those abilities, or users who just don't have the ability doesn't really work otherwise. So again, it's a very situational ability. So it's in total, you have 4 very hyper situational abilities and 1 just really good ability in general. If you were trying to min-max, I would just save your tokens for their stats and buy Outside Shield as the only key ability, in my opinion. Now, obviously, if you get free abilities, you get free abilities, but I personally wouldn't waste any ability slots on any of these stuff aside from Outside Shield, in my opinion. So as the ability recap, I'm going to quickly give you my little thoughts and opinions at the 30-minute mark of this VOD. So in my humble opinion, I think the raw strength lineman and the agile lineman are supposed to be inverses of each other. One's very good at pass block finesse and run block finesse, and one is very good at pass block power and run block power. However, in my opinion, the agile linemen just are better in almost every numerical stat. So if you remember on the raw strength tackle VOD, when you had a raw strength lineman who wasn't their primary stat, they would have a number in the 60s, like 65, 64, 63, stuff like that. Whereas most of these agility linemen, even their not dominant stat, are still in the high 70s, mid 70s, or even like low 80s, which is great. So it doesn't really matter the offense you run them in. They all just kind of work, which is not something the raw strength lineman can say. Furthermore, I will give the raw strength linemen this. They do have better abilities, but their stats are really bad. So for the agile versus raw strength comp, in my opinion, it basically comes down to how you play the game. If you want to risk your lineman not being able to pass block and have good abilities, go with the raw strength guys. If you want your ability or your lineman to both run block and pass block, I highly advise the agile lineman, even though the abilities do kind of suck. But depending on your situation, you may or may not need those abilities. So obviously, do what you think is best for you. But in my opinion, in the pecking order for the tackles, at least from what I've done thus far, number 1 is still pass block tackles, number 2 is agile tackles, and number 3 is the raw strength lineman. If you are this far into the video, I appreciate you. Let me know down below what you guys think of the agile lineman, and let's go ahead and roll the shoutouts. As always, I hope you have a wonderful morning, evening, night, afternoon, or day, depending on whatever time you watch my content in the future. Like, comment, subscribe on YouTube. Drop me a follow or sub on Twitch. I would greatly appreciate that. And if you can, please become a member. Membership support the channel out a ton, and you get early access to all my content, like the video you're watching now. Fun fact for you guys, all of these videos, or at least a bulk of them, were pre-recorded in December. So if you were a member, you got access to them almost a month early, along with other benefits in the Discord and the channel, and much, much more. So if you can become a member, I'd greatly appreciate that. And also, shout out to the goats on screen right now, all of our active members. I appreciate y'all. And yeah, guys, I will see you in the next one. Deuces.